All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Softlock podcast for the end of August. Today, our topic is going to be the childhood gaming experience, and more specifically, what games we played when we were kids. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and joining me today is my always lovely co-host, Jonathan. How are you doing today?
I'm a really bad Joe Swanson impression from Family Guy.
Can you give me an example?
Hey, Peter.
That's how you're feeling?
Peter. hey, Peter.
And that is what you can expect from this show. We're in a mood today.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you everyone for your support on Instagram, and TikTok the last few days. We got a lot of reception on our most recent TikTok about Armored Core. Just a reminder, you can follow us everywhere at SoftlockPod on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, podcast services, wherever you can find everyone, except X, because I'm not calling it X, and we're also not on Twitter, just for the record.
Woo!
But yes, so we put out a post on Instagram recently asking for some topic suggestions, either for discussion questions or for whole episodes. That's still up, so if you have any ideas for things that you'd like to hear us talk about, go ahead and respond to that post. We got a lot of reception on that. That was good ideas, and we're going to actually do one later in the show from one of your suggestions. But it's been a while since we recorded our last episode, and I hate to air dirty laundry on the show like this, Jonathan, but I can't stand you right now. I can't believe that you would go out and enjoy nature with your loved ones and not play video games for a whole extra week. What the fuck is up with that?
Well, let me make something clear. I still played video games, but I was in nature. They made this crazy device, Nintendo. I don't know if you heard of it. It's a small company. It's called the Switch. It's a game console that you can take on the go and in your house. It blew my fucking mind. You have to actually go check it out if you haven't.
That's not real. That sounds too good to be true. That's like the Ouya.
That's what I thought too. But no, it's like the Ouya, but like good. You know?
All right, nice. Well, yeah. How was your trip? What you been up to? How's your life been for the last couple weeks since the last show?
It's been pretty good. I went to Seattle, and I was specifically on one of the islands off of Seattle, and it was beautiful. And I realized that people have very different ways of living out in different parts of the country. It was more like a rural. I hate that word because of my accent.
I think you nailed it because I mess it up every time. I think you nailed it in the first try.
Well, when I said it the first time, Isla, who is from like more like Midwest, looked at me and was like, "What did you say?" I was like, "I'm rural." What? So I always feel like I'm saying it wrong, but it's a very different way of living out there. No chains at all. I think the only
no chains.
Oh,
like chain restaurants.
Yeah, chain restaurants, chain establishments. The only thing I saw was a single Rite Aid, and it was honestly like a shock to the system. I was like, "Holy shit!" It was a Rite Aid right there.
Were you like on the island where the Scars live in The Last of Us 2?
I thought about that. I think there's like a decent amount of islands surrounding Seattle. So I was thinking about it. I was like, ooh, maybe I should look that up. And I still haven't looked it up, but there is a non-zero chance that I was on the Scar Islands.
Nice.
I don't know what they called it. I meant to ask you
while you were out there, did you go to the city at all?
I did. On my very last day, I went to the city.
I've always wanted to go to Seattle. Is it like as awesome as everyone says it is?
It was pretty nice. But I gotta say, you gotta have some strength in your quads because that city is hilly. Holy shit! I could not believe it.
I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm used to that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
But was it kind of like
what?
Was it kind of like a weird little system shock seeing Seattle in real life after playing so much Last of Us 2?
Honestly, not real. Okay, actually, that's not completely true. Because I saw the aquarium. And the Ferris wheel, which I didn't know how much of Last of Us 2 is actually modeled after the real life Seattle. And we went to the Seattle equivalent of Reading Terminal Market, which you would have loved to be there, honestly.
Oh man, that sounds fun.
It was pretty fantastic. And
actually, I think that outside of that area, I think that's where the Seattle course on Tony Hawk Pro Skater takes place. So I think I know where it is, but I've never seen the inside of it.
Yeah, if you went there, you might have some memory recall of the entire place. You might know it more than I do at this point. But yeah, I turned around. I was looking at I was in the market. I turned around. I saw the aquarium. Or no, I was looking at the Ferris wheel. I was like, oh, there is a Ferris wheel. And then I saw the aquarium right in front of the Ferris wheel. I went, oh, holy shit! So it was, and I made a joke. I made a stupid joke the first day I was here. I was like, I can't believe I'm where they filmed The Last of Us 2. And then I saw that, and I did get kind of like giddy because it was just, I wasn't expecting it. Like I wasn't going there and being like, oh, I'm going to see the aquarium. It was a surprise. It was a nice, pleasant surprise. I really liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, every time I drive by the part of Pittsburgh that they modeled The Last of Us 1 after, I like see it, but it's not a one-to-one. So I'd imagine being in Seattle is something different where I'm like, well, I can like see it here. I love seeing that stuff. Like whenever you go to a city that you've never been to before that was in a movie or a game that you like, and you're like, huh. I always see San Francisco in all these movies, and I feel like if I ever go there, I'm gonna have a completely like mismatched conception of what the city actually looks like. So that's definitely on my list of travel.
I imagine that's what people think about whenever they come to New York City, honestly.
Yeah, probably, because they just think of it as Manhattan. Really, they don't really see much else of it in most movies.
Yeah, I think on one of my commutes when I was working in the city, I made a joke to somebody, and I said, I can't believe, in the same vein of I can't believe I'm going to where they filmed Last of Us 2. I was on the ferry and I was looking out at New York City, and I went, I'm so excited to go where they filmed Ghostbusters. And they didn't laugh.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I see on our note sheet right here that you have something written down about a big bug. So I'd like you to tell me about that.
Yeah, trigger warning for big bugs, specifically for Jake.
I hate bugs.
Yeah, I was having really a tough time sleeping last night because I'm still in Seattle time, I think. So it was 1:30, but in my brain it was more like 10 or something. And I was just laying in bed, just trying to fall asleep, watching something on my TV. And I saw a big black spot on the wall above my TV. I went, oh no, oh that's not good. And I turned on the light, and it was a big old centipede.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was a big old centipede, and I was more like a house centipede, not like the really scary ones.
Yeah, I know,
so
like the wide ones, not the thin ones.
Yeah, the wide ones, more like the silverfish. And I was assessing the situation because it was on the wall, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a really big problem if it falls off when I'm trying to kill it, so I'm gonna have to get like. I'm gonna have to kill it and then have the paper towels on standby just to like grab it or something and then throw it out. And then as I was like leaving the room to get the napkins or whatever, I saw it like move around and it fell. And it landed somewhere and it vanished. And I went, oh my god! So for about I want to say 20 or 25 minutes, I was just looking for it. I was just because and here's another thing. It was really a really poor decision. I redid my carpets a couple years ago, and I got these dark gray carpets. So I was like, oh fuck, it's blending in, or it's went into a corner. It fell right near my closet. Went in my closet. So I was looking around. Finally, I found it underneath my TV stand, and It was like hiding near the Xbox or whatever, and I lit it up with my flashlight and it glowed. Because
what do you mean by that?
I don't know. I think because it's like the centipede was more of like a silver color. So when I had my flashlight, it like lit up like it was a quest marker in an RPG or something. Like I saw it and I'm like, oh, there it is. And then there was like a 5-minute struggle and then it was dead. But for awesome. 20 or 30 minutes, I was just like sweating in my room trying to find it. And I almost gave up and was just like, you know what? You win. Just kill some smaller bugs for me. But I got it.
I was streaming the other day. I don't know if you were watching, but I was streaming Dark Souls 2, and I went for a bathroom break. And on my way back into the streaming room, I saw a very similar giant black spot on the ceiling. And I went, it was also a giant centipede, funny enough. And my girlfriend, she is an animal lover and a bug
she loves
lover.
them.
Yeah, so she will not let me kill them. So she has this big Tupperware that she wrote Bug Prison on. And so what she does is whenever a centipede comes up, she sticks the Tupperware over it. And then it tries to crawl out, but it just touches the edges. And since it's plastic, it slips and then it falls down in. So next time you see one of those, get a Tupperware. That's the move.
Tupperware. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Enough about big bugs. Let me tell you about. So yesterday I went to. I know we're going long in our stuff, but who cares? I went to the Pittsburgh. No, it wasn't Pittsburgh. It was the National Oddities and Curiosities Expo when they came to Pittsburgh, and I'm not about all that stuff. Like there was a lot of big bugs and a lot of creepy animals and stuff there. It was like a kind of like a just weird people convention in the best way. I don't mean it as a negative.
Yeah.
Like half the places there were selling like skulls and wet specimens like octopi in jars and stuff. And it was kind of gross, but also like fascinating. I couldn't look away. Like I said, my girlfriend loves animals and stuff, so I was there pretty much just to entertain her.
Right.
But while I was there, I found a lot of really cool artists. So let me show off some of the stuff that I got because I think you'll like some of this, Jonathan. So I'm gonna pop on my camera for you real quick, but I'm gonna have to edit this in for the audience later. I got these prints from an artist called Reaching for Divine. And so they're foil art prints, and I got one of Alexander from Elden Ring.
Oh,
and the red
whoa.
like pot stuff is foil, so it like shines. And then I got the Turtle Pope, also from Elden Ring, who I don't know if you've even met him yet.
I
think
have.
you have. And then I got Kelpie, which I know is from like Scottish mythology, but I obviously know him from Persona.
Persona!
Yeah, so I was like, that's what I got. I got this really cute sticker for my 3DS that I'm in love with, and I love it so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I also got some like D&D stuff. It was pretty cool. There was a lot of like video game adjacent stuff there as well. Like it wasn't a gaming convention, but there's that kind of crossover of that community. So it was a lot of art, a lot of anime stuff. It was pretty cool. So if that ever comes to your city, it's a cheap ticket. I'd at least recommend just going through the artist alley because there's a lot of really talented artists there.
There's a giant carnival set up in the front of my mall. That you just reminded me of that. I was driving by yesterday, and it's I'm not even kidding. Like like those pop-up circuses or whatever.
Yeah, with the death traps.
Yeah. This was not that. It was literally just a gigantic. It was so large I couldn't believe it. Circus tent, and that's all I have for this story. But you just reminded me of that.
You should go to it and let me know it's there.
I should, but I don't know what to expect of the quality-wise of a parking lot circus. But I got it. The circus tent looks fucking fantastic. So I don't know. Maybe I will.
Yeah, maybe you'll walk into Threed on accident. All right.
Yeah, so, maybe I'll just stay in gaming instead.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Tell me what you've been playing. I know you were mostly on the Switch lately because you were out in Seattle. So let me know, like, where were you playing things? What were you playing? How much you enjoyed them? Give me a few reviews.
So before I left for Seattle, I played Fight Night, which is something that's been on my radar for a very, very long time. It's like a first-person dungeon crawler with Punch-Out style fights. And I was really excited for it, and I played it, and I absolutely loved it. There's a review on the Instagram, and that's all I'll say about it. Just check out the review. Absolutely loved it. 10 out of 10. And I think I'm going to play the New Game Plus, which actually has significant changes, which is always a big thumbs up for me.
Absolutely. You said it was made by like one guy, right?
Yes, I believe it was mostly one guy. I think somebody else is also credited for some other things, but I believe it's mostly one guy named Bowensaw, and he's
Bowensaw. Do you have a review up on GG App as well?
I do have a review up on GG App,
I'm
but
to go read that.
It's a very small. I just punched my desk by accident. It has not garnered a lot of attention, and I think it's a shame because I think it deserves a decent bit of attention at least. So on GG App, it doesn't even have an image. It just has the text name.
Oh wow.
So I submitted an image for review, and it's been 2 weeks, and they still haven't reviewed it, but that's all right.
Yeah. I mean, GG App also just one guy. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep, just one guy.
That's insane.
He's pretty cool.
So other than that, though, when I was in Seattle, Broforce was $2, and I played Broforce when it came out a couple times. And I was like, ooh, Broforce, this is a blast of the past. Replayed it. It's just as frustrating as I remember. But it's funny. It's a funny joke. It is a funny joke. You're aware of Broforce, correct?
I've played Broforce quite a bit as well. Actually, I played a lot of couch co-op Broforce on PC.
That's probably how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just playing anything co-op on PC is such a hassle with like setting up two controllers or keyboard or whatever. But I love. I don't know if I played a lot of Broforce, but it's very hazy. There was like an Expendables thing.
Oh, the
right?
Expendables. Yes.
Is that a standalone or is that an expansion?
It was a standalone free title they made to promote Broforce and also to promote the new release of like the Expendables 2 or whatever the first one.
I'm trying to remember. Is the guy with the Gatling gun that shoots him into the air, is that in Broforce or is that in the Expendables?
The guy with the Gatling gun that shoots himself into the air.
Yeah, that's my biggest memory from Broforce, is using a guy who had like a minigun, but there was so much force behind it that if you shot behind you, it would propel you forward.
Oh yes, that is the Terminator character in Broforce. I think he might also be in Expendables. I don't know, because it's also Arnold. So he might be in that too, but in Broforce, the Terminator the Brominator, so sorry. You get sent flying in the other direction because of the recoil of the minigun. So
yeah,
that's
pretty much my only memory of that game. But from what I remember, I really liked it, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it recently. I don't know why.
Probably
I feel like
it's on sale for $2.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, it's fun. I'd suggest you just play it with some friends, because I think, it came out around that time when every indie game was like ultra hard. So like, Hotline Miami.
Yeah, like 1001 Spikes.
1001 Spikes. Yeah, but it's trying to mix in this kind of like bombastic, action-packed, explosion fest power fantasy. But you die in one hit. So I think both of those ingredients do not mix as well anymore, because I'm playing it and I'm like, there's a lot of times where I just like die. Almost every time I died, I was like, oh my god, instead of it, I don't think when you die in a video game every time you should be getting a little frustrated and being like, oh, that was stupid, yeah. But maybe it might be a get good thing. It might be a play with friends thing. But I just had much less patience regarding it this time around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but it was fun.
Let me tell you a story about something that really frustrated the shit out of me a few days ago.
Oh yeah.
So if you saw my TikTok on the Softlock channel, I was able to play Armored Core 6 early. Why? I don't know. And I got the game on sale. I only paid $40 for that game, and I got to play it 2 days early. So I was playing early, which means there was no guides out. And I don't know if you've seen any scuttlebutt on social media about this game, but the first boss in Armored Core, it might be one of the hardest FromSoft bosses I've ever fought. And I've played a lot of those games so far. It's no, it's like it's a floating do you know what the floating machine guys look like in Nier Automata? Because that's what it looks like, but I know you haven't played that either.
Oh yeah. Don't they? He fires like 800 million missiles at once. He kind of has those like biblical angel like "Be Not Afraid" rings on him, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. Yeah. So there's no guides out for this game, and I was stuck on this boss. I literally fought this boss for like 4 hours. That might be the longest I've ever spent on one boss fight, and I eventually got through it, and that's what like really sold me on the game, was the fact that I was able to figure out how to get through it on my own without a guide. But now the game's out and there are guides, so anytime I get stuck in the boss, I'm just like, all right, what is this guy weak to? Look it up, and then I play it that way. But that game is really, really fun. It's not as like revolutionary as I thought it would be. I don't know why. I know like don't have high expectations for something like this. In fact, this was a game where I was like, I'm going to wait for reviews, because I don't even know if I'm going to like this very much. So I waited for reviews to come out before I bought it. And I'm enjoying it a lot, but it's like, and it's very fun. It's not at all what you'd expect from like a Souls game or anything. So don't go into it expecting that.
Yeah.
But it's just like a really complex third-person shooter, and that's it. And that's kind of all I want from it. But for some reason in my head, I was like, this is going to like change the way I think about 3D motion in video games, and like how I'm gonna have to be wired in and hear like 3D audio to see who enemies are behind me and stuff like that. But it's pretty much just like a really good third-person shooter, like a really good one.
I think a lot of people were having that issue because ever since this game got released, I've been hearing discourse about it in that vein of like people like dragging it in the mud for reasons like that. I mean, it's like, I guess that just happens sometimes when you have a studio that releases kind of like, you know, games like the Souls series, where it's like, yeah, this is the same form of game but in like different fonts and stuff like that, and you get Game of the Year every single year, and then they go, all right, well, we're gonna make Armored Core now, we're gonna make something different, and it's just gonna be like a thing. People, I guess, get upset. They have I think, I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, this is an insane thing to do because it doesn't make any sense. But if I were to rank it among the FromSoft games, I would put it above Dark Souls 1 and below Dark Souls 2. But that's like, why would you ever do that? I just see a lot of people doing that, so I've been thinking about it. What I would really like to say is, like, out of all the single-player third-person shooters I've played, which isn't that many, but I'm thinking like Crackdown. I mean, I guess The Last of Us counts, but that's kind of a different thing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
an action third-person shooter, like GTA, like Battlefront, stuff like that. This is the best one, like the best one, hands down,
Right.
that I've ever played. Like it is an excellently made campaign. The story is whatever. Like you're a mercenary and you just go back and forth between all these corporations and kind of like work for them to help gain their influence in the sphere that they're working in. But it's
Yeah.
all through audio logs. Like there's no player models to my knowledge because I haven't quite finished the game. I'm on the last chapter. And it's like decently interesting, but it's kind of just filler to get you from mission to mission. But the missions themselves are, I haven't found one so far that was boring. I haven't found one so far that was frustrating. They're all like very well made, and I would definitely recommend the game to anyone who likes third-person shooters, even if it is a little bit more complicated than you're used to.
Yeah, I'm excited to dip my little fingers in it. It seems quite up my alley, you know, just like, you know, cut right to the chase, action game with emphasis on build variety, baller. Sounds like my cup of tea.
Right. If I had to compare it to anything, this is a kind of ironic thing about it. If I had to compare it to anything, it's more like a Ratchet and Clank than anything else, because you have so many weapons to choose from, and you can use whichever ones you want to tackle the situation in a certain way. And there's a lot of enemies on screen all at once, and a lot of bullets coming at you all at once, and the story is pretty much just guided through like little interstitial cutscenes. So it's very Ratchet and Clank, which I just realized talking about this.
Is there a dance gun? Is it disco
Yeah.
gun? What is it
Yeah.
called?
No, what is it called? The Groovatron.
The Groovatron? Okay,
Yeah.
that's not what I thought it was going to be. Kind of like, it's, I don't think anything can top Boogie Bomb, but it's all right.
The Boogie Bomb. But yeah, and then
That's
I've also been playing on the opposite end of action games, Shadow of the Colossus. So I played through that for the first time. I know it's one of your favorite games of all time. It's been on my list forever. Even back in the PS2 days, I knew that it existed and I wanted to play it, but I only finally got around to it now. I played the PS4 version because obviously I'm going to do that. And I liked it. And that's pretty much all I can say about it, is that I enjoyed what I played. I have no desire to go back to it. I liked the story enough, but I don't really think it was as maybe it's because I knew the plot twist already going into it, but I just was like, yeah, that was good. It was good.
Yeah.
It's a good game, but I don't know. It's not like it's crazy, like change my perception of gaming thing that everyone says it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, a spoiler for the almost 20-year-old game, I guess. But did you like take a look at Wander's character model, like as the more like Colossus?
So I actually found out about that after the game because I looked at a side by side because I heard someone say that he gets like more fucked up the more Colossi you slay.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. So I looked at it. I think they kind of messed that up in the remaster. I think it looked way more obvious in the original game.
Yeah.
Because the character model itself actually got darker. Like they just turned down the saturation and turned down the brightness on it. And then raised the like contrast on the cracks and veins in his skin so you could really see them. But in the remaster, I feel like I literally didn't notice at all.
That's interesting. I didn't notice. It's like one of those things you kind of have to pay attention to, I think. Because I also didn't notice it on my first playthrough.
Like so again, spoilers for Shadow of the Colossus, which this is like next to Aerith dying. Like everyone knows this. It's like you're the bad guy, kind of like you're helping to release this evil spirit by killing the Colossi, which are actually helping keep him contained. I knew that going into it, but I kind of thought it was going to have more weight. I thought it was a situation where it was like, and I think this might be a situation of like expectations kind of influencing my perception of it, because I thought what it was that every time you killed a colossi, I thought it was going to like start messing up the world, not your character. I thought maybe this colossi was like the colossi of water, and like when you kill him, then it stops raining and it goes into a drought or something like that. Like that's kind of how I thought it was going to play out. But whenever I was going through and it was just like, all right, go up to this guy, figure out what his gimmick is, go stab him, get knocked off, and then have to do it again. I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's really fun. Like, but here's my one thing with the game. Like literally the only concern I have with the game itself that isn't the story. I wish whenever you figured out the gimmick of the Colossus or the Colossi, I wish that just let you kill them. Because like I figure out, okay, I need to get him to stomp on this plate here so that I can climb up and then climb up to the top and jump on his back and then stab him in the head and then climb down and stab him in the back. But once I figure that out, if I get knocked off of him, I just have to do it again. Like I wish once you stab him once, I wish that would just kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a little puzzle.
I don't think Shadow of the Colossus is necessarily consumer friendly because it's a odd experience. It kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid with how it's hard to get a hang of it. Metal Gear Solid has all of these really crazy mechanics and inputs that the game does not inform you about at all. You just kind of have to figure it out, or you learn about it from like urban legend, like a Metal Gear. You can aim your gun at an enemy, and then you hit like a button, you hit like triangle or something, and if you're aiming at an enemy, you'll be like hands up, and then you can shake them down, and they do a little butt wiggle, and ammo flies out. There's a ton of shit like that in Shadow of the Colossus that you don't really even need to do. The game doesn't even really tell you how to operate the game to begin with. And so it's hard to get into, and especially when there's nothing in the world to discover or explore, and it can feel very clunky to try to figure out these puzzles and stuff like that. I don't think it's very easily accessible, but it's one of those games where it's like if it clicks for you, it clicks for you.
It's yes, it's very inaccessible, and yes, it's very clunky, but it's also a product of its time. Like, it is a PS2 game. They did nothing to change the gameplay in the remaster, at least from what I can tell. But I played a lot of PS2 games, which we'll talk about later in the topic of the show, so I knew what I was getting into, and like I said, I really like this game. Like, I'm going to recommend it to everyone who's looking for a short game like this. It's really good if you know what a PS2 game is like, because it's not going to control, like, God of War Ragnarok. It's not going to control like Ratchet and Clank. It's going to control like you're on a horse that was made in 2006 or whenever the original game came out, and it shows. But that's fine. It kind of adds to its charm where I'm like, wow, this was like one of the first games that did something like this, and I really appreciated it as a piece of history as well as a game. Like I'm saying, the only gripe I had with it is that like once you solve the puzzle and once I know the story, I don't really feel the desire to go back to it like it wants you to, and like a lot of other people do. And I think that's just a personal thing. But as a game itself, it is incredible what they did back in the day. And the remaster looks fantastic. So it's a perfect way to play a new version of the old game.
Yeah, it's so visually stunning. I honestly, when I was really young, debated getting a PlayStation emulator just to play the original, because I wanted to play it so bad. And then it was like one of the other defining reasons why I got a PlayStation 4, along with Bloodborne and stuff like that. And yeah, I know, I always really liked it. I would suggest, if you ever had some type of desire to return to it in the next eon, try to the hard mode. See if you can get used to the controls and try the hard mode. They change up how the Colossi behave, and they add extra weak spots, so you have to go to some places that you probably wouldn't think to go to and stuff like that. And I really like
that's actually interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like there'll be like a sigil on this one Colossi's like stomach, and you would have never went to the stomach before because you just go to the head, and you have to do this whole process of, and there's many ways to figure out how to do it. I think the way I did is I jumped off from its head, and I got really lucky while I was like walking forward, and I jumped off its head and I landed on its like little ribs or something like that. And that's the reason I really like the game. It's so fun to watch, you know. But
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like Sam was watching me play it, and even though she had no interest in it at all, she was still into watching it because like when you're not the one playing it, you don't realize how archaic the controls feel. Like it visually is presented very well. Like when Wander's getting like flung all around and you have to hold on to the hair, all you're doing is holding R2. But it kind of looks like you're doing something crazy to stay on there.
It looks good. The what is it, the Mulgara type thing in the desert.
Oh, that's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, he's great.
Shout out to Blue Point. Excellent animation, excellent visual remaster. I can't wait to see what they do next after Demon's Souls. I hope, beyond hopes, that it's a Bloodborne remaster or something original. But whatever they put out, I'll be there for day one.
I think they need to remake Dark Souls 1. I would love a remake of that.
I don't want that.
Really?
They're not going to change the gameplay, and you know how I feel about the game itself of Dark Souls 1. So
that's
I just
true.
Don't.
I think I really like Dark Souls 1, but I do think the game graphically it's aging rapidly.
Yeah, even
year.
the remaster looks really bad.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I guess that's kind of the point. You know, the visual design is like, this world is disgusting, but I don't know. Demon's Souls is probably the best looking game I've ever seen in my life. So
yeah, Demon's Souls looks great.
I would love to try out Dark Souls and really get invested in that world again in graphics like that. I would love that.
Yeah, and then the last thing I'm going to shout out here, I'm not going to go into a whole review or anything because I have talked about this game on the podcast before. I am once again telling you to play Immortality. And I'm talking to you, Jonathan, but I'm also talking to everyone in the audience.
Right.
If you have Netflix, you have Immortality. It's one of the few Netflix games worth playing. It's a story that can only be told as a video game, and the way it does that is the best I've ever seen.
Hold on. This is last time we spoke about this game, you were not this ecstatic about it.
When was the last time we spoke about this game? Because I've always been a champion of the game.
I don't remember. I think it was probably the last time we recorded the podcast. Maybe we were talking about it, and I remember you just being like, "Yeah, it was pretty cool," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
So that was like I remember when it was talking about, because I was talking about the game, the way that you unlock the secrets of the game itself. I was like, yeah, the game itself was all right, but the story of the game, after looking into it and like watching the story and everything, was way better than I originally thought it was. Because it can only be told through a game. It's like something like Metal Gear Solid, where that's like something that people always shout out as like, that game could not be a movie. Right. Because of the way that they do the story and how they portray it in the gameplay and everything. And this is another example of that. And I don't want to spoil anything. I just want, look up a guide if you need to progress, because I got stuck and I had to eventually do that. But it is absolutely worth your time if you're at all interested in unique games.
Right.
That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah, I think the thing that I was talking about the last time we talked is that I was not aware of some of the story elements that were going to come into it, and it was kind of a shock to me because I had played the game for so long the wrong way that I didn't know about these specific elements of the story that were going to come in because they were hidden from me because there was no tutorial.
Yeah.
But once I knew what to look for, if I had played the game differently from the beginning, that the story would have hit for me a lot harder. So yeah, definitely check that out. If you have Netflix, you have it. So
I don't even
anything
know if
else?
I have Netflix.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that I feel like everyone had, but now there's nothing on it anymore. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people canceled Netflix.
Yeah.
Anything else any other games you want to shout out before we move on to the topic of the show?
I played Into the Breach, and somebody said it was Alien Chess, and I went, yep, it's Alien Chess, and I really like it.
So I've never played Into the Breach. I've only seen it. Is it as good as FTL?
I think it's better than FTL.
Really?
I think it's much better than FTL. FTL.
Is it in any way similar?
Yeah. I mean, it's a roguelike. There's the upgrades and stuff. There's crew members or mech pilots and stuff like that. But FTL was a very traditional roguelike, and it was just a competent roguelike. It was a lot of fun. So there wasn't really much of a drive for me to go back to it And, there's so many ships in FTL, which kind of just vaguely change up how you play the game. Like, you'll just get a different ship layout with different power or different weapons and stuff, and that just is your starting equipment or whatever. And I was never a huge urge for me to go back to FTL. It was just like kind of there. I had fond memories of it. Into the Breach is very, very, very deep. It is Alien chess in a way. It's tactical strategy game, and there's squads. So instead of getting like one ship or whatever, you get a group of 3 mechs, and they all have their own strategies and functions and just deep understanding that only comes with them. And it's more of a game like, just get to the end and get all the good upgrades and live. You have to balance your mechs, the power, like, because enemies will attack, like these big alien bugs will attack your characters, but they'll also attack the power grid. If you run out of power, then you're done. So it's like this balancing act of, what do I sacrifice? What can I try to save? Can I not save this? Do I have to just take the L and have one of my pilots die or stuff like that? It runs so deep. It runs so deep. I played it for pretty much the entire, like when I had free time, the entirety of my vacation, and I did not get bored for probably 25 plus hours. Like, I put into it over the past 2 weeks or whatever, just at night and stuff. And I was actually astonished at how much I was getting out of it. So it's great. It's great.
That's high praise. I definitely want to check. It's one of the games I've always wanted to check out because I love FTL so much. But I don't know. It's just, you have to be in a very specific mood to want to play a game like that.
Well, yeah. You also if you're a lover of tactical strategy games, which I am, then that mood is almost all the time, and that's it. It scratches that itch. It is
okay. Perfect. I
can imagine putting down like hundreds of hours into this, because I've unlocked like I've almost unlocked all of the squads, is what they're called, like the different variations of assemblies of mechs, and I'm not really accustomed to any single one. I've only had a victory on one of them, and it was like it was like an easier victory because I got like lucky and I did the final thing early, so it didn't scale or whatever. So I've only done that once in 25 hours, and there's so many other squads that I just need to figure out their strategy and figure out what they do, because they do things so differently, and I really can't imagine putting in dozens of hours over the course of several years. It's actually pretty fantastic. For any lovers of tactical strategy games, I would check out Into the Breach as soon as you can.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It sounds like we had a pretty good last couple weeks in gaming. And then next week, we're all going to play Starfield, and it's going to be terrible and let us everyone down.
No, don't say that. Man, I'll be so upset. I'm not even playing it day one, but I'd be so upset.
Yeah, I'm playing Starfield day one, mainly because I am not playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I want to play an RPG, and I have access to it through Game Pass, so that'll scratch that itch for me. But let's talk about a topic of the show.
Yeah.
So our topic today is going to be the childhood gaming experience, and we're going to do that by talking about what we played as kids. Now, I don't know who's watching this, who's listening to this. You have to remember, I was born in 1999, and Jonathan was born in 2000, right?
Yeah.
But we are 23 and 22 now. So we have a podcast. We've played a lot of games in our time, and this might be a different childhood experience from what you had, but it doesn't make it any less valid.
Sorry, Grandpa.
Just saying.
Deal with it.
Just wanted to put that out there, because I know how people can be, but this is like truly what made our gaming tastes what they are today, and our gaming taste today is what developers and publishers are going towards. So, honestly,
also known as bad.
Hey. Okay. I played Shadow of the Colossus, dude. Don't you know that's one of the greatest games ever made? And I liked it too. Okay,
that's true.
So, well, you tell me about your childhood gaming experience. I'm going to take mine kind of in a chronological order, but I want you just, whenever I say, tell me about your childhood in gaming, just go off of that. Tell me how that makes you feel, what you played, things like that.
So when I think of my childhood, I think of honestly the GameCube and Game Boy Advance era, that holds a very, very special place in my heart because, so, I almost said I had an older brother as if he's not around anymore. No, I have an older brother, 5 years older than me. So he was the one who was the influx
something
of
I didn't
games.
think about. Because I was looking, I was like, I'm from our conversations before. I find it interesting that you're so into GameCube and Game Boy Advance whenever you're younger than me, and I just barely had that. But I didn't have an older brother, so that's probably how that came to be.
Yeah, so a lot of that, and my brother was the one who really got me into video games, because he was into video games. So just by proxy, I just became enamored with the things that were coming out between 2000 and 2008, I want to say. And by the time the Wii came out, it was primarily my brother's, and I came under primary ownership of the GameCube. And then there was the same thing with the DS. It was like my brother's DS, and I was still working on the Game Boy Advance. And I never was super fond of the Wii and DS era. It only was when the 3DS came out is when I got really enamored with the 3DS. Became my favorite console ever. But yeah, for a majority of my childhood, GameCube, Game Boy Advance was it for me. The first game I believe I ever laid my fingies on was, well, if we want to get really specific, it's probably like, I don't know, Sonic on the Leapfrog. But
I forgot about the Leapfrog.
yeah, the Leapfrog,
Dude, I had a
man.
SpongeBob game on the Leapfrog. That was so fun.
Yeah, I don't remember having fun, but I remember playing it, and Sonic would run around, and I would get
Awesome.
stopped, and I would have to do math. And I don't really remember if I answered anything correctly. But first, like, real video game meant for fun that I laid my hands on was Mario Brothers 3, the Game Boy Advance version. The definitive
That's a pretty
way.
good first game to get.
Yeah, to me, it's the definitive way to play. I love that version of the game, and I would just play it for. I still have my original copy. The battery ran dry though.
Damn.
Or I don't think it actually has a battery. I don't really remember. No, I think my actual original copy is A-okay. Yeah. It's perfect. And I mean, it has my initials on it, or it has my brother's initials on it. That's at the time when everyone marked their initials on their video games. Did you have
In
that?
case you lost it at school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. Actually, a lot of my games nowadays, because side tangent, I was a GameStop kid mainly.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it during my thing, but I sold a lot of my games, which I regret to this day. But looking back on it, it's probably a good idea because I got to play a lot of different games because of it. But so then when I was in high school, I went back and rebought a lot of the games I had when I was a kid. So now a lot of my games have initials on them that are not mine.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did that. I don't think anybody anticipated the gaming market boom of the late 2010s, to be honest with you.
But yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I played Mario Brothers 3, and I was just playing that on and off my whole life, and that was the first game I ever played, and that's kind of why I think I mentioned that to you before when that last month or so that we lived together, and we were playing Mario Brothers 3 on the big TV. Whenever I was like, not humble bragging, but I was bringing up the fact that I grew up on this game and playing it so often, and I remember every time everyone would get really stuck on a level or it was my turn, I'd be like, give me the controller, and I would fail immediately.
Well,
no, sometimes
it's a hard game.
It's a hard game, but a lot of the times I still have that instinct in me. A lot of the stages I was able to get through A-okay, no problem. And then other times I would completely embarrass myself and get killed by something stupid. But yeah, Mario Brothers 3 was the beginning for me, and it's still one of my favorite Mario games. I love that. I love the way they did the map screen. It feels like a little like board game aesthetic almost, and like the stages, how you're on like a performance. You heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the curtains and stuff like that. I love it. I love it so much. And
See, that's where we really diverge paths already from the very beginning.
yeah.
My first Mario game was New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
Whew!
Yeah,
Wow.
that was my first Mario game. I eventually in that era, like in those 3 or 4 years after that game came out, I went back and played, Mario 64, original Super Mario Brothers, Mario 3. I played all those, but my first one was New Super Mario Brothers Wii.
Oh, you know what that means? That means the penguin suit is normal to you.
Absolutely. And the propeller suit.
The propeller suit, yeah.
The propeller suit is still to this day my favorite Mario power-up because I have so much nostalgia for that game.
The propeller suit is less weird to me. The penguin suit is so bizarre to me. I forget it's even real. But then again, every Mario game has like that weird fucking power-up that you're like, oh, okay, I guess they're never bringing that back again.
Yeah.
The hammer, man. Bring back the hammer suit.
All right, so you played Mario 3 for many, many years. What was like, did you ever beat it when you were a kid, or was it always a little too hard for you?
So we had the strategy guide, and I don't know if I ever used it besides looking at the pictures and the art, but I can't tell you. I really can't tell you if I beat it or not. I know I got to World 8. Well, actually, I don't even know if I was the one who got to World 8. Maybe I just started up my brother's save file. Because that's another thing, being a younger child, I was always save file 2. And that was fueled my Luigi complex probably very early in my life. But yeah, I was always save file number 2. So I might have just, but I think sometimes when I was getting frustrated from being on, I don't know, World 3, because it's a water world, I would go to my brother's old save file and just like muck about over in World 8 and then go to the hand bridge, and it takes me to the Cheep swamp. So
love the hand bridge.
Yeah, the hand bridge is really funny. I don't know what the hell they were thinking when they made that. They're just like, yeah, let's just a hand comes out, like just a realistic human hand comes out and pulls you into a stage. But I beat it. I know for a fact that I beat it on the Switch Online service in my first year of college, and they do this thing at the very end of the game where Princess Peach goes, your princess is another castle. And I went, what the fuck? And I remember I screamed so loud because I couldn't believe it. I thought there was more to the game. And she goes, just kidding. And I was like, oh.
I literally did I screamed so loud because I was sweating. I was on my last life finishing that Bowser at the very end. And I was like, there's more.
Honestly, it's a good joke. It's a very good joke.
It is.
But yeah, that was the first game. That was the first game I ever played. And it still holds a very, very, very special place in my heart. And I don't know how you want to pass off the topic.
Yeah, let's go back and forth and like go chronologically.
Yeah, sure.
So the first game, so something you'll find consistent through my entire gaming history is that I played every Pokemon game. I was always a Pokemon kid. The first video game I ever played was Pokemon Sapphire. I've talked about it on the podcast before. So kind of what I'm doing this is besides Pokemon, because everyone knows that I was always a Pokemon guy. I still am. I've played every single game except for Black and White 2. So I'm going to say what are the biggest games that I played the most of, or that are the most defining for me at that time in my life that weren't Pokemon. Okay,
You're right.
So the first game I got after Pokemon Sapphire was Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland. So I got my Game Boy Advanced in 2004, and my parents got divorced that year, so I moved to a new house that had an N64 that year. And the only 2 games they had in the N64 were Yoshi's Story and Ocarina of Time, and I wasn't allowed to play Ocarina of Time. So
wait, where'd the N64 come from? Did it just come with the house?
No, it was, my long story. My mom moved in with a new guy, and he had a son.
I understand.
Who was an adult son who had moved out already. So I got the N64. And so we had Yoshi's Story was the only game I was allowed to play on that, and Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland were the most defining games for me at that time. And Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland is the first game I ever beat. And I remember I didn't know games had an ending at that time. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess I was 4 years old. I should have known, but I didn't know games ended because I had played, Pac-Man and arcade games and stuff like that didn't have an ending. And I beat this game and it rolled credits, and I was like, "What the fuck just happened?" But so Kirby, I'm not the biggest Kirby fan in the world, but I had Nightmare in Dreamland specifically. I could probably bust it out today and speedrun it. I know that game so well because I played it so much. So kind of similar with you with Mario 3, but for that game.
Yeah.
And so I had the Game Boy Advance at that time, and most of what I played was like licensed games. There was actually a canon sequel to The Incredibles that they made as a video game. And I
Did
played
you fight
that
the
a
mole
lot.
people?
You did. It was called Incredibles: Rise of the Underminer or something like that.
Oh, there we go.
And I played a bunch of like licensed SpongeBob games, and like there was one called Nicktoons Freeze Frame Frenzy, which was like a Pokemon Snap clone that stands out as like really good. But I'm gonna say that for the GBA, Nightmare in Dreamland is like my game for that.
Yeah.
And it came out in 2002, so there's no way I got it at launch. I think I got my Game Boy Advance for Christmas in 2004, and it came with that and Pokemon. And
That's
then
a good
Yoshi
one to
Story.
start, yeah.
Have you ever played Yoshi Story?
No, I have not.
I hear a lot of hate for Yoshi Story, but I love that game. I never finished it. I couldn't really wrap my head around it because it has a weird control scheme, and the controller was so weird to me as a 4-year-old, but I love that game.
Yeah, and the N64 is like the one console generation that I essentially just skipped over, and I never really had a desire to experience it, unfortunately. Besides, the first party Nintendo titles.
Yeah, I've gone back to it a lot since then, but like those Yoshi Story and Ocarina of Time are the only two games I ever had on N64. And I eventually played Ocarina of Time, but not even all the way through. So that
Yeah.
I skipped over the authentic experience, but I played a lot of it on the Wii Virtual Console.
Speaking of
but-
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what happened next for you after Mario 3?
Oh, well, it was Ocarina of Time.
Whoa!
Yeah. So another thing about the GameCube that I think people have overlooked. GameCube has ports of Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. Well, Wind Waker came out on GameCube, and Twilight Princess, which came out simultaneously on GameCube.
I didn't know
and
that
Wii.
GameCube had Majora's Mask.
I didn't either. I think a lot of people don't know that. It's actually like the one Zelda game that came out on GameCube that I don't have. I even have fucking Four Swords Adventures, and that's a weird one. But my brother had the Ocarina of Time. What was it called? You know what? Let me see right here. I'm looking at it.
I see. Is it Zelda Collector's Edition? Is that what it was called? Because I'm looking it up right now.
I think it does. Is it silver? Is the box silver?
I can't even really find. Like I looked up a Majora's Mask GameCube, and I'm seeing the Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition, which is it is a silver box.
No, see, that is something else.
This is the one that came with Four Swords co-op, right? Or
I don't know. I don't know about that one. That was elusive to me.
oh, here we go. It has a Legend of Zelda 2, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask.
Yeah. That might be the Majora's Mask port. I don't know if they ported the game individually, but they did port Ocarina of Time individually. And that's actually the first instance of Ocarina of Time having Master Quest, which obviously came back in the 3DS version, and Master Quest is a fantastic addition to the game, I think. But I played that version of Ocarina of Time so much. I loved Ocarina of Time growing up, and I mean, really, I loved all the Legend of Zelda games. That was like the best thing for me. Like my brother moved on to the Wii, and he got the Wii version of Twilight Princess. But I stayed back, and I had the GameCube, and for a really long time, I just had unrestricted access to Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. And Twilight Princess being on GameCube is actually pretty stunning, because I think that game looks very, very good, too. But obviously the champ for me is Ocarina of Time. Put so much hours into it. That was probably the first game that I beat. And I remember that was before games sent you back to the title screen. It was a trend at the time, I think. Like, now, when you beat the game, it maybe, like, will send you to the title screen, or it'll send you to the, like, after, like, the post-game or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But a lot of the games before that, like Ocarina of Time, just, the credits rolled, and then there's that scene at the end where young Link finds Princess Zelda again after Ganondorf is defeated, and then it goes black and white. It says the end. It just stays like that, and you just have to turn off the game console. It doesn't
That's
save your
awesome.
progress. Yeah, it doesn't save your progress or anything like that. And I remember I sat there for like 10 minutes hoping that it would like go to the front. To the main
Did you think
menu
it was like broken
again.
or something?
I didn't know if it was broken, but I didn't know, like, I just had no frame of reference. I was just like, oh, okay, they just designed it like this, I guess. And I never did it because I really wanted to save my progress. But that was like the first game I beat, and I was like stunned. And then, just a short thing before I baton pass back to you. In Wind Waker, when you beat the game, you can do a New Game Plus where you play the whole game in your pajamas in the Outset Island fit. You know what I'm talking
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my brother lied to me. It was probably one of the first instances of somebody telling me like a fake myth in video games. My brother lied to me. Maybe he didn't know it was a lie. He told me that if I beat the game again in the Outset Island clothing, he told me two different things. I don't know which one he told me first. First, he said that if I beat the game again, I play as Tetra. Which I was like, oh, well, I didn't really want to play as Tetra because I was a little kid. I just wanted to play Link. But then another instance, he told me that I played with the magic armor on the whole time, which was the item that you just had like a force field around you, like in the shape of your clothing or whatever. And I was like, I want to play with the magic armor. It was a lie.
I actually heard that rumor as well on the playground or something. But I heard that, so I knew that the thing where you could play in your pajamas, but I heard that if you beat it again, then you play naked. And
whoa!
And I was like, that is so bizarre. There's like,
you're just hanging dong?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what I thought was gonna be there, but I was like, oh my god.
Can you imagine that if that was real?
Nintendo, what are you doing?
That would be insane. That's almost like it kind of reminds me of in Mario Odyssey, the underwear outfit. Like that's funny. Like that's funny.
Oh! You know what? I do remember. I remember. They said, I don't even remember who told me, but they said that you would walk around and it would have one of the clouds like around you.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
But you were shirtless and you didn't have any pants on. That was the thing.
Honestly, that's a pretty well thought out lie. That's pretty good.
There was so many playground lies, dude. It was crazy. I remember the first kid to get a GTA game would just make up shit. He'd be like, in GTA you can do this, and like he was like, you can like get in a helicopter and fly around and then drop knives on people. And I'm like, what? That was like the big thing. And then, so when I got GTA and you couldn't drop knives out of the helicopter, I was like, oh.
Oh no, they lied. I didn't really have any like totally bullshit rumors like that,
Oh, we had a bunch about Animal Crossing Wild World. A bunch. People would say like crazy shit happened. I remember one kid said he got abducted by aliens and that he went to an alien planet and he got to start a new town in space and fly back and forth between them. I was like, where do you come up with this shit?
That is crazy. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about it right now. I was like, why didn't I? You always hear these stories about these guys talking about how they heard this rumor from this kid on the playground, and I never got that. And I think it's because the kids I grew up with were not playing the same games I were playing.
Maybe. I feel like besides Pokemon, a lot of us didn't play the same game, so you'd hear about GTA or you'd hear about Animal Crossing, and then eventually you'd get the game and it was all false. But like at the time, you couldn't prove them wrong.
I did play Pokemon a lot with a kid I went to elementary school with, but we were pure business. We did not spread lies. We were just like, this is what the game has. I don't know what the game doesn't have, and I'm not going to talk about it. It was purely what was in front of us.
Did you play anything else around like that GameCube, PS2 generation, or was
Sonic Adventure 2, baby?
So what did you play on GameCube?
Yeah, I played Sonic Adventure 2 on GameCube. I also played Sonic Adventure. I have the Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut where they made them all shiny.
So wait. What is the difference between Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Adventure 2 Battle?
Oh, okay. So Sonic Adventure 2, I believe, originally came out on the Dreamcast. But who the fuck owns a Dreamcast?
I own a Dreamcast.
You own a Dreamcast.
I don't now, but I did at one point.
Name another person that owns a Dreamcast. I can't think of one.
The person that I bought the Dreamcast from at the yard sale.
That's true. And the person who has your Dreamcast now. So
that is true.
I know a total
so it might be in a landfill, but.
Yeah, I know a total of 3 people who own a Dreamcast out of like, I don't know. How many people have I met in my life? Probably over like 10,000.
At least 300.
At least 300? I mean like met. I mean met and spoken words to, or like pass by on the street. Because you can pass by someone on the street and go, yeah, you own a Dreamcast.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, you're wearing a Dreamcast t-shirt.
Oh yeah, we're in a Dreamcast t-shirt. Dreamcast, that's a discussion for another day. But I played the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was the port to GameCube for Sonic Adventure, and it just had a battle mode. It had a versus mode, and you can do races. because Sonic Adventure 2 has the three types of gameplay. There's the Sonic stages, there's the Knuckles stages, there's the Tails stages. And it's just a versus mode and all that. At Sonic, you do a race. Knuckles, you do treasure hunt. Tails, you do a mech battle. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. But most of my time was spent playing that story mode, which was like my first exposure. Well, besides Leapfrog, my first exposure to Sonic. And I really, really like that game. I think that it was probably... I think we need to go back to that era of Sonic because I don't like the Boost Saga of Sonic, man. I really don't.
It's hit or miss for me, but I agree. I bought Sonic Adventure 2 the other day for like $3 on a PC, so I'm probably going to play through that pretty soon. But I like the aesthetic of it. I like the vibe of it. But I don't love most of the Boost games, but things like Sonic Unleashed or even parts of Sonic Generations, I think they're pretty good.
I just think, I mean, honestly, if I ever streamed as like a funny, as just for fun, I think that would be the first game I played because I know so much about it and I played it so much. I think it could be fun and it would be fun for me. But I think that the biggest blunder with the modern Sonic, as soon as the Boost Saga started happening, is Sonic needs to fucking stop. He needs to slow, like, you know, Sonic's about going fast. Sonic's about doing this and this and that. No, Sonic needs to slow his goddamn fucking shoes down because in the Boost Saga, only thing I'm doing is holding forward and then moving left and right sometimes. Sonic Adventure 2, when you're going to play it, there's actual, like, level design. It's not just a straight, like, racetrack. I'd rather just play a racing game. But there's actual level design where I have to jump and explore. And sometimes, God forbid, I stop and have to fight an enemy. And, like, it's just, like, 1, 2, 3 or whatever. It's just a much more fun way of traversal that I actually really, really enjoy. And I don't understand why people are just like, no, Sonic needs to keep going fast as possible. He needs to slow the goddamn hell down.
I can agree with that. And the reason I can agree with that, moving into my experience with this generation, is that I had Sonic Heroes. And Sonic Heroes, pretty much a sequel to Sonic Adventure, right? And like I said, I've never played Adventure, but that's pretty much a new Sonic Adventure, but it's the 3 characters at once, and there's co-op and all that.
Yeah, Shadow comes back after he falls off the planet and craters into the earth.
Yeah, but I loved Sonic Heroes, but I was an only child, so I didn't really have a lot of people to play it with, so I kind of played through it once, and that was it. So I didn't have a GameCube, so I had a PS2 that I think I got at a yard sale, and my experience with the PS2 generation was pretty much just Sonic Heroes, Frogger, which was like a full Frogger game, not like the arcade version, and then Star Wars Battlefront 2. And that PlayStation 2 was pretty much just a Battlefront 2 machine for me for about 4 years. Like I played it. Oh yeah. I played Battlefront 2 weekly for 4 years by myself. That's how much I love that game.
Dude, Battlefront. First of all, I didn't even know Sonic Heroes was on PlayStation 2. That's actually kind of crazy. Second,
I don't believe I Mandelaed it because I didn't.
No, you're right. You're right. Now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure you're right. But Battlefront, I would go when I first joined Boy Scouts. I met this kid who I'm still friends with today, and I went over his house once, and we were just playing Battlefront. And the only thing we did was set down like satchel charges or C4 or whatever, and like blow ourselves up and just like ragdoll.
It's so
across
funny.
The map, and it was so funny. And I'm not kidding. That's what we did for, I want to say, probably like over 2 hours. And it did not
to
get
be
old.
a kid again.
Yeah, man. That's all it took. You make your own goals and you make your own fun. Now I need a marker and a quest to tell me what to do. It's really sad.
The AI in that game is actually really good for the time. Like I said, I played that game for probably hundreds of hours just by myself. One time, I had a friend over, and he wanted to play Star Wars Battlefront because he was a big Star Wars kid. One time, I think we played for like 6 hours. We played a mode called, I think it was called Galactic Conquest or something like that, where it was like a board game mode where you'd move through these little spaces. It's kind of like Risk, where you could like take over an area from an opponent by doing a whole multiplayer match.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest gaming memories I've ever had, is that game, because it was the first time I had played against a real person, and the person had actually played the game before, so it was evenly matched. I wasn't just steamrolling the AI all the time, but the AI in single player was actually really good because you could like change the difficulty. And I remember that was the first game I put it on hard mode on purpose because I was like, this is too easy.
Your gamer instinct came out that day.
Yeah, that must have been the game that turned me into a a gaming shooter.
An
But
elite gamer.
yeah, no, I love that game so much. That was the PS2. I still was playing my GBA and then eventually DS during the time that I had the PS2. But
Yeah.
the PS2 was the only time I was allowed to use the TV for gaming was like a couple times a week, and it was PS2 Battlefront 2 every time, and I loved it, loved it, loved it.
Oh man,
What
I'm thinking about ragdolling again.
It's so funny. We should play that game. It's on Steam.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's on Steam, and it has there's like a back-end server thing you can do that's pretty easy.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So then let's move into the Wii and DS generation. Do you have anything that stands out from that generation? I know you said you're not a huge fan of it, but like 2000, when did the Wii come out? 2006 or 2008?
I
When
believe
did the Wii
2006
come out. The Wii came out in 2006. Yeah. So from like
Yeah.
2006 to like 2010 era, anything stand out to you that you like really think of as your childhood gaming memory?
Unfortunately not. Like I said earlier, the Wii was more of my brother's thing. I remember we played Paper Mario and Super Paper Mario. I'm sorry, and that was pretty crazy, honestly, because it was like doing all that crazy shit with like the 2 dimensions. WarioWare we played sometimes, but you know, they were it was passing. It was passing glances for me. I was still on the hand-me-down consoles, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I kind of skipped that, and then but the DS does have probably the first instance of me being a gamer.
Okay.
When I tried to record gameplay footage of me playing New Super Mario Brothers with a flip video camera. And posted to YouTube. And I played it. I remember I was on the desert stage, the desert
Whoa,
world.
whoa.
Yeah.
We're super advanced now. So you're telling me by the time you played New Super DS, you were aware of YouTube Let's Plays?
I guess. I don't know. I don't even think. Well, 'cause I wasn't talking. I wasn't saying words. I wasn't like, hey guys, we're at the. You know, I was just. I was aware of simply gameplay videos. Ever since I was a very young kid, I did not get into like the big YouTubers or the machinimas or anything like that. I saw the videos like pre 2008 probably of just random dudes on YouTube just posting videos of them playing the video game, and literally not even talking during it. It'll just be like, I don't know, like Mario Sunshine fails or funny moments or whatever like that, and it's just like some guy ground pounding on a Delfino. There's no words, no anything. It's just a camera in front of his TV, and that's the type of shit that I consumed on very, very early YouTube, and I want to replicate it. And I never posted it because it looked terrible, and I played horribly. But yeah, I try to emulate that.
Any chance that file still exists somewhere?
Zero, unfortunately.
Damn.
Zero chance the file exists. And honestly, I'm trying to think. I used to watch these guys, and I can't find them for the life of me. It must have been this. At the time, I thought it was like these older guys, but now that I'm thinking back on it, it was definitely like just a kid a little older than me, and probably his younger brother, like his same age, and they're playing Wind Waker, and they were just putting on voices for like the characters and stuff, and being funny and like acting out like these jokes and stuff, and I loved it. I loved it so much.
And that
I
defined
really
your
did.
sense of humor for the next 22 years.
It did, unfortunately, until I found Germa.
Yeah. The Wii and DS generation is really where I came into my own as like playing games, because Pokemon, obviously we had Diamond and Pearl and Platinum. I had also played a lot of GBA games on my DS. Like I was still getting them when I thought they were new, but it turns out they were old. Like Fire Red and Leaf Green I played on there, but I didn't understand the concept of like, this is a Game Boy Advance game or this is a DS game, other than square cartridge has one screen, little square cartridge has 2 screens. And I was like, that's kind of how I thought of it.
Yeah.
But that was where I realized what like games were. I started to get Nintendo Power and like read that every week, and Game Informer. I went on forums and was like reading about upcoming games and stuff. Like I said in the last episode, I was very blessed that my dad, he doesn't really know what's going on with video games, but like he doesn't hate them. He's not against them. Like he has a DS Lite. He plays games to this day on his DS. But what he would do is he would read the Game Informer. I don't know why, to like find out what was coming out and what was new, and like talk to me about it and be like, here's this game. Are you like interested in WarioWare Smooth Moves. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then what he would do is he would like keep a little list. And whenever holidays or my birthday would come around, he would find which games on those lists were on sale and bring them home and like get them for me for holidays and stuff. So I ended up playing a lot of like the premier games on Wii because he was reading reviews for them.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know why? It's because he loved you.
No. I'm saying I don't know why he would read it for fun.
Okay.
Like he could have just looked. He could have just went to GameStop and been like, "Hey, guy at the GameStop, what's like a good game I should get for my son?" But he was like invested in the games themselves because he would watch me play them too.
Okay. I thought you were saying I don't know why my dad spoke about games with me and tried to be interested in what I was.
Like I said, obviously my dad loved me and he wanted to give me a better life than he had when he was a kid. So that's why he was actually buying me games whenever I didn't have a job. I'm not going to pretend like he didn't care for me in that way. I'm saying I don't know why he was reading Game Informer and Nintendo Power on in his free time when he could have been reading, I don't know, the newspaper or watching the news.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing a lot of the really big Wii games that way. But I distinctly remember one year there was a shift where I stopped asking for games for Christmas and I started asking for gift cards. And from not from my dad but from other members of my family and everything. And that was when the Wii Shop channel came out and I was so into WiiWare and the Virtual Console because what I would do is I would go on like I don't even know what website it was. It was probably IGN or like maybe Metacritic if that was around back then and being like best N64 games and then look at the list and then see which ones were on the Wii Shop and I just buy them in order based on their like score and play them that way. But one that I can't believe this is the one I'm going to be talking about today is a WiiWare game called Pokemon Rumble.
Oh.
And, yeah. Have you ever played Pokemon Rumble or any of the... There's like a million of them now.
Yeah, wait, I thought that came out on Wii U. There was a Wii one?
Yeah, I believe it was Pokemon Rumble Blast was on Wii U or something, but the original original Pokemon Rumble was a WiiWare game. And basically all it is like a very watered down Diablo style ARPG starring Pokemon. But they did like the Paper Mario or like Mario versus Donkey Kong thing where they had a very specific aesthetic they went for where all the Pokemon were toys, wind-up toys. And that was like probably the first ARPG I played, probably the first RPG that wasn't Pokemon that I understood like this move is important because, well, I say it wasn't Pokemon, but you know what I mean. It wasn't mainline Pokemon.
Yeah.
It was like this move is good because this enemy is weak to it. I'm gonna raise. It was kind of like a looter shooter in a way where you get like this Pikachu is rank 68, where this Pikachu is rank 67. And you're like, oh, that's an upgrade. I don't know why it's an upgrade, but it is. And you like swap them out, and you have a little party.
Yeah.
And that game has defined the Wii for me more than I thought because I did a lot of thinking about this because I was like, I'm gonna say WarioWare Smooth Moves. That's my favorite Wii game of all time.
Oh yeah.
But I think. Undoubtedly, Pokemon Rumble is probably the game I played the most on my Wii. I probably played hundreds of hours of that game, and I think it's only like 40 hours long, 50 hours long to like 100% it. So I don't know what I was doing, but I played the shit out of that game.
Honestly, I think we need to reflect on the amount of times we spent on a lot of the video games that we played when we were younger. Because when I think about when I was a kid, I was thinking about games like Sonic Adventure 2, and I was like, oh man, I must have put like 80, like 100 hours in that game when I was a kid. Check the save file. It's like 15.
So on the more modern ones, I was able to go back and look on like my history. But on Wii, remember they kept track of playtime through like the notes on the emails. So I went back on my original Wii and looked to see, and Pokemon Rumble was showing up a lot because that was around the same time that I got my own TV, so I didn't have to wait to play on like weekends or whatever. I could play whenever I wanted, and that one showed up a lot because I played that game a lot.
I got snitched on by that system. Yeah, I got snitched on by the Nintendo mailing system because I remember I was playing video games when I wasn't supposed to, and my mom was like, were you playing video games today? I was like, no, I didn't play that much. Or no. I was allowed to play like 2 hours on the weekends, right? Because my mom wanted to establish like time limits, so I didn't spend my entire life playing video games. So on weekends,
look where that led you.
Yeah, look where that led me. Well, at least I can, hold down our job, I guess. But yeah, so on weekends I was only allowed to play like 2 hours. But I'm gonna break that.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Even sometimes I actually was I was like a goody two shoes too, a little bit. So I would be like, oh no, rats, my time is over. I can't play. I had to wait until tomorrow. And just by myself because I just wanted to do good. But sometimes I would just forget, or sometimes I would be a little sneaky. And my mom was like, how much did you play today? I was like, 2 hours. 2 hours. And my brother was like, you could check. And I turned around, I was like, no, please, please. And she goes and she checks, and it was like, I don't know, 5 hours or something like that. And I got grounded.
Damn.
No. So I got snitched on. I got snitched on by my fucking console. I was so pissed.
That's fucked up.
I was
Nintendo,
so
why'd you
pissed
do this to
off,
us?
man. And I guess my brother was probably sick of me playing it. He was sick of me playing like video games that he wanted to play around me. So he was like, fuck it, I'm going to get him in trouble. And you know what? It worked.
I think one of these days we're going to talk about screen time, even though we're not adults or parents, because I didn't have any screen time limitations for my video games when I was a kid, and I know a lot of people who did, and I don't really know like what the reason, like I don't know where that idea came from. Like, was it just something that is passed down from like the TV days? Like I'm more interested to learn more about that, because I feel like it doesn't really make a difference in how your kid turns out. But I'm also talking on my ass, so
I don't know. That's the thing. You don't really know how a kid turns out until like they're older. But I see kids now everywhere I go who are just glued to their device, and I can't. It doesn't feel right. Like, you know, I don't know that much about kids.
Well, let me ask you: would it be different if it was a DS instead of an iPad?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay.
there would be that novelty of like, oh, he's playing a DS.
No. I mean, because like I remember I was that kid at like, you're in the restaurant. And I was a nice kid, so I didn't have my speakers on, but I was playing the DS the entire meal. I wasn't like talking to anyone until
me
until
too.
I was talked to.
Yeah.
But I feel like nowadays when I see a kid with an iPad doing the same thing, I'm like, I poo-poo them, but I did the
poo-poo
same
them.
thing with my DS, and I don't know if it would be different if I saw a kid with like a Switch in the restaurant.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not entirely sure, but I think it's just like the idea of like the rise of the iPad kids. I don't know any of the stats or the numbers or anything like that, but it just doesn't feel great. Does that make
it's also,
sense?
I think another part of that, and we're kind of going off on a tangent here, so I'll try and wrangle it back in, but I feel like the big concern with like the iPad kid thing is that a lot of those apps and a lot of those videos are like kind of predatory towards kids to like work in a way that wants to keep them invested in it in a way where like video games are made that way from the jump, but it's kind of like your own personal tolerance for it. Like, video games are addicting. I mean, obviously I have an entire bookshelf full of video games over here because I'm addicted to buying the things. That's just part of what they are, but like these apps are designed to be an addiction in a very, like, that's the goal, where a game is designed to be
predatory.
good.
Yeah, like if I would, like you said, I would feel a little better about a kid kind of like glued to his, I don't know, his 3DS or Switch more than I would about a kid on his iPad watching like those predatory YouTube kids videos, or those like other types of like weird applications. I would feel way better about that. But I mean, like if I had a child, I wouldn't really want to enforce like harsh limitations on his screen time in any way or like that, because it might be counterintuitive. But I would want them to be able to play, you know, with blocks or something, be able to have that imagination, not just instantly spend all their time on, like, you know, the Mario Brothers for 12 hours a day. And I feel like that an important part of childhood is probably doing that, like, imaginatory type stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely had that. But
yeah,
with that said,
yeah, I'm not an expert on parenting, so let's just move on.
Yeah, let's pretend like we didn't say any of that. But
this is all personal speculation.
Speaking of imagination, in 2009, I got a game called Scribblenauts, and that changed my life. Did you ever play Scribblenauts as a kid?
Yes, I did. I had a friend who showed it to me, and he goes, "You could type in anything, and it comes out on the screen." And I went, "That's not true." And he goes, "It's true." And I typed in "big boobs lady," and she didn't come out.
See, funny you say that, because in Super Scribblenauts, you can type that in, and it does come out.
What?
I know that from experience.
What do you wait? What do you mean? That was like in the game, so I programmed that in.
Super Scribblenauts has adjectives.
It has that. Yeah, I have that. That's actually the one that I like really played and beat. But
And so, just saying from personal experience, that does work.
what?
It does. I don't know why. I don't know how it got an E10 Plus or whatever it got, but that does work.
Okay, no fucking way. Now I need to look this up. Should I even put on incognito mode?
I don't know. But
That's insane.
listen. In 2012, whenever that game came out, it was a tough time for 12-year-old Jake. But in 2009, when Scribblenauts came out, that was crazy to me because I think Scribblenauts is the game that made me realize that games were huge. Like I'd always thought of them as kind of like just toys. Like, you get a cheap plastic toy from Toys R Us, like a little action figure or whatever, and you're like, I can have dozens of hours of fun with this action figure. And then video games were kind of the same thing to me until Scribblenauts, when I realized like someone, I don't know what made this click, but I was like someone, or like I probably assumed it was like a small group, but probably a team of dozens and dozens of people work full time to program all of this in so that you can type whatever you want, and their work is what my parents paid real green dollars in exchange for their work to give me this product that is well made. And that, like, the idea that you could do anything blew my mind, and the fact that someone made that happen in real life was crazy to me.
That was your financial awakening.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like when I realized
awakening.
Yeah, my financial awakening. It's kind of like when I realized that someone had to animate the cartoons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't just make themselves. Like, whoa.
I don't know if I ever had that happen to me. That's interesting.
Huh. But so DS was probably the biggest. DS was when I played the most. Because like I said, I played Game Boy Advance and DS games on there. A lot of them. I played Wild World. I played all the Pokemons. I played Nintendogs. I played Kirby and the Canvas Curse. I played Squeak Squad. I played pretty much every major DS game at some point I played. Because that's the console I had the longest.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because I got my Game Boy Advance right when the Game Boy Advance was kind of ending. And then I got my DS Lite at launch, and I played that consistently all the way until a couple years after the 3DS came out. So I played that one the longest. I played a lot of games, but Scribblenauts really stands out to me as like, that's the one. That's the DS game for little Jake that isn't Pokemon.
And before we move on from Scribblenauts, because I looked up Scribblenauts Big Boobs Lady, and this videogamesblogger.com showed up, right?
Okay.
It looks like it's very old-fashioned website, but apparently they're coming out with new stuff. It says Armored Core 6 cheats right at the top. But it says Scribblenauts, Super Scribblenauts dirty words list. These are dirty words you can type in and something shows up anyway.
Whoa.
And I just want to go through 3 of them right now.
Okay.
Boobies summons a bird. Dick summons a guy named Dick.
Yes, I remember that one. I remember that.
Yeah, and then I don't know who the fuck thought of this, but this is word for word what it says on the website. Fertile woman. If she touches you, she gets pregnant, then gives birth, and it gets worse from there. That's what it says. Oh no! That's what it says.
That sounds messed up, dude.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That game is for children. They still make those games. Like, there's still new Scribblenauts coming out.
Yeah, didn't they do like Scribblenauts like DC?
Yeah, why would you limit? Like, that's the whole point. You can do whatever you want. Now you're limiting it to like just DC. Like, I don't know.
I guess it's just DC related puzzles. I don't know. Joker needs a vat of acid to drop like a puppy into. Like, I don't fucking know, man.
All right, so moving on from the Wii/DS generation to like. 360 PS3 kind of came out in the middle of the Wii, and then 3DS came out around that time as well. What are some standouts for you there? Do you have any?
While you were praising the Wii and the DS, that was kind of the era that I was not a part of. I've already expressed that. I felt like I sounded like Donald Trump there for a second.
I've already expressed that very much.
I've already said that. I've already expressed that. Moving on. Okay. That was a rough impression. Anyway, I got the 360, and my brother got the 360 too, and he played Skyrim in front of me. And this was at the time where me and my brother's ages, we were too old. We couldn't share our consoles anymore. Like, I got to pretty much keep some of the older things, and sometimes he would take the GameCube back. I didn't have the GameCube for a decade, for a while there. That was a tough time for me. Now I have it. Now it's in my full possession. I have full, what's it called?
I don't know what you mean.
Starts with a C. It's with
Collection?
divorce. No, it's the Divorce Kids. What's it called?
What? What are you
What is
talking
it?
about?
What is it when you have when one parent has the child?
Oh, custody.
Yeah, custody.
Okay.
There we go. Sorry. I had full custody over the GameCube. But before that, I went over. It was I knew this kid across the street, who I became friends with. I think he was 2 years younger than me, and he got an Xbox 360 for his birthday around the time Halo 3 came out. And I went over his house. He was like, check it out. I got the Xbox. I went, what the fuck is this? And he was playing Halo 3. And I was
What
like,
a game to see is the first
I
time.
was like, holy shit. He was in that.
Did you know that the Xbox original existed at the time?
Dude, I didn't know the Xbox original existed until I was like 19. I was like, who the fuck wants to play this piece of shit? I don't know. I don't know if it's a bad console, but I don't see anyone talking about it.
I remember my cousins had an Xbox, and the
Black
only
and
game
white button. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those. I don't even know what game it was. Hang on. I gotta get this right. But so my cousins had an Xbox, and I only went over their house very rarely, so I didn't see it very often. And
Right.
the only game they had on Xbox was Castlevania: Curse of Darkness,
Castlevania Curse of Darkness.
which is an Xbox. I don't know if that's only on Xbox. I don't know if it's a port. I don't know much about Castlevania. All I know is that I saw that game, and I was like, this game is too old for me. I can't play this game. I can't look at it. It's scary. So that was my perception of Xbox until this generation. But go on. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's. I'm looking up Castlevania Curse of Darkness. This is one that has skipped my. I'm a Castlevania guy. This has skipped my my knowledge because there's a lot of Castlevania games that are just really weird and just out there. But yeah, but you haven't played Halo 3, correct?
I have played Halo 3.
You have played Halo 3?
I haven't finished it, and I had never owned it. I only played it at friends' houses.
That might be a video. We might have to record a Let's Play and post it to this fucking channel.
I would
'cause
be
I
okay
think you
with
need
playing
to.
through the entire original trilogy because I've played a lot of them, but I don't think I've ever finished any of the original 3 because I never owned them. I played them at multiple friends' houses, so I probably played all the missions, maybe out of order, and just had no perception of the story.
I think you would. I think we need to, and I also think we can't stop at the original trilogy. We have to play ODST.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
well.
I included that in it. I just
Okay,
for me,
okay,
I
okay.
always when I was younger, I always thought ODST was a DLC. I didn't realize it was its own game. So that's kinda like,
ODST slipped my radar for quite a bit. Like I remember I played it a little bit, but I only beat it once the Master Chief Collection came out.
I
you know?
actually played ODST on launch day at a friend's house. His older brother came home with it, and we all played it. But I still, like, at the same time, I had no idea what was going on, and I
Right,
didn't know
of
the
course.
story or anything. So, but so you went to your neighbor's house. He had Halo.
Yeah,
3,
he had
and
Halo
then-
3, and it was that stage in Halo 3 where you go to the Ark, and it's that desert stage. Do you know what I'm talking about, or no?
Is that where he like kicks the helmet or something?
He kicks the helmet?
I don't know. I don't know. I like I said, my Halo is a huge blind spot for me story wise. Like I said, I played all of them. I played the multiplayer a lot, but not enough to really appreciate the story.
Right. Okay, well, okay. Then I'll spare you the details. But yeah, it was that stage where they go to the Ark and it's in the desert, and he just got the Xbox like that day, and he was already, I want to say, maybe a third through the game.
Well, if you play them on
Oh.
easy mode, they're not very long.
I don't know if he was playing on easy mode. I guess he was. Yeah, that's another thing I did all the time. I played on easy mode a lot, and then when I was older and I revisited the games, I'd be like, how the fuck did I beat this? And then I remembered. But yeah, I saw that, and it blew my mind. I was like, I've never seen a first-person shooter before. He's shooting guns and stuff. I was like, oh my lord, I want to play this. So I'd go over to his house all the time, and we would do split-screen co-op of Halo 3. And by the time that I got my own 360, I got the non-red ring version, the slim with the touchscreen little power button.
Good for you.
Yeah, the sensitive little power button that I would turn on turn off all the time by accident with my toe.
Yep.
Fucking ridiculous. And I didn't get Halo 3, but I got Halo Reach. And that was the beginning of my Xbox journey. And you know what? I played a lot of really good games on that Xbox. I played shit like I got Skyrim as soon as I could. I played Dragon's Dogma. I played a lot of the Call of Duty games, which I probably shouldn't have. And I played online. But I think I'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, that was the beginning of... That was like... Oh, I'm a tween now.
Yeah.
I'm a tween now, baby.
Yeah, I kind of figured we would end this discussion around like high school time because I feel like you're not really a kid. Like you are a kid, but you're not a kid. And for me, I got my 360 not at launch, but very close to launch. And I got the Arcade Edition 360, which came with Fable 3 and...
Oh, I played that one too, yeah.
Yeah, it came with Fable 3. It came with Halo Reach, at least the bundle that I got. And it didn't have a hard drive, and it didn't have a Wi-Fi card, and
man.
It was white, and it had the physical button, and I got the red ring of death 3 times on my Xbox.
Honestly, so my brother recently moved out of the house, and his friend, I think, gave him an old Xbox 360, and I think I'm looking at the exact Xbox that you just described. It's right on my floor right now.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, they never made a white Xbox 360 that was not Arcade Edition.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some research now. I think I might have gotten a little gypped. I think I was so in the dark about the 360. I just looked it up. Do you know the 360 came out in 2005?
Yeah, 360 is old as fuck.
I got my 360 when Halo Reach came out, and Halo Reach came out in 2010.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I just got a really old Xbox. I probably got it used. That's probably why it came with Halo.
Yeah, you definitely did. By the time Halo Reach came out and the Xbox that they were making the Xbox that I have, the 360 I have,
yeah,
which I think that I don't know what to call it, but it was supposedly immune to red rings.
Wait. Okay, hang on. I am misremembering. The synapse is just connected.
Oh, okay.
I got my 360 in 2007.
Uh-huh.
It didn't come with Halo Reach. It came with Halo 2, I think.
Halo 2?
360. Hang
on. That's one to start with.
So Halo 2 is an Xbox game, right? But I feel like I don't know if it came digitally. I remember it came with Halo 2 because I wasn't allowed to play it.
I'm pretty sure Xbox games can run on the 360.
Yeah, I think they can. 360 is backwards compatible, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's what it was, is that I got Halo 2 and I wasn't allowed to play it. Because I was running through the story in my head, because where I'm going to go with this next is that when the 360 launched in North America, 212 Xbox games were backwards compatible. Okay. Where I was going to go with this is that I had my 360 for a while, but I wasn't allowed to play M-rated games, which was pretty much the only thing worth playing on the 360 at the time.
Yeah, that's why I got it.
And so I remember I discovered Amazon, and I bought Oblivion. Without telling me. Yeah.
Dude! I just picked the microphone so bad. I'm so sorry.
I love Oblivion so much because it was the first real game I played on my 360. I also didn't have a hard drive on my 360, so I had to buy a hard drive to play Oblivion and buy Oblivion.
Wow.
And so I played Oblivion a lot. But then at a certain point, I mustered up the courage in 2010. I had my 360 for a couple years by then, and I was like, Dad, I've been playing an M-rated game, and I convinced him that he bought it for me. That way he wouldn't suspect anything. I was like, so can you please let me get Halo Reach? Because all my friends are playing Halo Reach, and I really want to play with them. And then he let it slide, and that's what opened the floodgates to Halo Reach, Halo 4, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Wolfenstein, all the 360 games I would go on to play after that.
Right.
But Halo Reach was the opening of the floodgates after Oblivion, and Halo Reach is my most played 360 game.
That's when I had online, man.
Yep. I had to buy a Wi-Fi adapter because, like I said, it didn't have a Wi-Fi card.
Oh man, Wi-Fi adapters are so ridiculous. You know, my computer right now doesn't have a Wi-Fi adapter. I need to be hardwired or else it just doesn't work.
Well, you know how I actually did it at first? I bought the Wi-Fi adapter a couple months after I got Halo Reach, but you know what I did at first is there was a way you could backdoor your internet from a laptop to the 360 with an Ethernet cable. So I had my laptop running with a program open next to the 360 whenever I wanted to play Halo Reach online.
You're just using a hotspot at that point.
Pretty much, yeah, but that was like, I don't know, I don't remember what it was, but yeah. So tell me about your Halo Reach experience, because I went on that long-winded tangent mainly because I forgot when I got my 360. What was your Halo Reach experience like? Did you play it with your brother, with your friends, or was it mostly like single-player online type stuff?
I played it with my elementary school friends who I was, we all got shifted to different classes in middle school, but we were still buddies at that point. And we would just hop on Halo and we would just have fun and go online. And, oh man, I was allowed to play Halo, but because I was fighting aliens like you, I was not allowed to play M-rated games, but only if I was killing people.
I think I also had that stipulation at first, because I think that's how I was able to convince him to let me get Halo.
Yeah, and you know what? At the time, it was confusing, but now I understand.
I mean, yes, I understand as well, but like nowadays, I feel like it's a lot easier because of like Fortnite and things like that. Back in the day, with like Columbine and the Doom situation and all that, there was a huge thing about not letting your kids play Call of Duty, and especially not letting them play GTA.
Yeah, and then they still ended up being the most best-selling franchises of all time.
Well, you know.
Yeah, which is completely insane. I remember when my brother was getting Modern Warfare 2. Oh, I just choked.
You good?
Yeah, but I think my brother sensed that I mentioned him 3 times and just put a hex on me.
Nice.
But I remember when my brother was trying to get Modern Warfare 2, and he must have been 14 at the time, and that was when No Russian. That was the game with No Russian.
Man.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And at the time, that was like a big, really, really big deal. I'm sure.
I remember hearing about it on the news because I wasn't allowed to play. I wasn't allowed to play MW2, but my friend's older brother had it, and I had played it. And then whenever I heard it on the news, I blushed. I was like, I can't. They're gonna find out I played this game.
Yeah, they're gonna find out. Yeah, my brother was really trying to be like, no, it's not. You could skip it. I remember there was like an argument because you can just skip the level. It says in the beginning, this level has sensitive content. Would you like to skip it?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. My brother promised that he was going to skip it. I don't know if he did. He probably didn't. But you know what? I'm thinking about it because I was researching that the other day, just out of curiosity. And I kind of had this realization, be like, woo, that was like a really bad look for Call of Duty, I bet.
And then they did it again when they rebooted Modern Warfare. Why did they do that?
Because I think that it's very important narratively. I think
Wait. Did they do No Russian again? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the Modern Warfare reboot, they did the thing with the white phosphorus gas. Do you remember that whole debate?
Oh, wasn't that originally Spec Ops: The Line or something?
I know what you're talking about. That game also had it.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't think it was Spec Ops. No, it was Spec Ops: The Line. But they had it in Modern Warfare reboot, I think, or maybe it was like Infinite Warfare around that era.
Right.
Why did they do it again?
Probably because they wanted to have like a moment like that. I know Russian is a piece of contemporary gaming history. I think that it's incredibly important. Just as like a time capsule of like what they were trying to do. Because I don't know if you really understood. Like, do you understand like why they did that?
No, I've never played MW2. My first Call of Duty was MW3, so I don't even really understand what the context is.
So that was at the point in time where the Call of Duty games were actually like kind of interesting. They had like interesting plots, and they were trying to do something with it. And nowadays it's more of like the God bless America, we're gonna shoot the fucking dictator in the head. I don't know. I haven't played Call of Duty in a while.
Open world zombies. What the fuck's going on there? We're going to talk about that next. We're going to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But at the time, that was at the point in time where those campaigns were highly anticipated, very plot heavy, and were actually very interesting. And the whole thing about Modern Warfare was that the whole plot was centered around this nationalist, this Russian nationalist,
Makarov,
and he wants to start a world war. And in the first game, there's another guy. He's like an ultra nationalist, I think they're called or whatever. And you kill him, and then Makarov just takes his place, and he's like worse, and he works with General Shepard and stuff like that. And Makarov wants to start a world war, and the way he does this is that the CIA finds this guy who serves in a tour or whatever, and they're like, this guy's great. You're gonna infiltrate Makarov's team, and you're gonna figure out what he's doing, because we can't have another world war happen. He wants to kickstart World War III, and we need to get info on him. So he joins the team, and then part of being on the team is that they're gonna do this terror attack on this Russian airport, and they're going to frame America so that all of Russia calls for action to start a war, because they did this giant terror attack against an airport. And you go through the entire mission. You don't even have to shoot anybody, but it's just like, oh my fucking god, this is narratively, it's like a very big deal. And at the end of the mission, you're escaping, you climb in, Makarov reaches out his hand, you climb into the back of this ambulance, and you're about to drive off in the getaway vehicle, and he shoots you because you're the American spy, and he knows. And then the Russian police find your body, and that's what kickstarts the war, because they find this dead American body, and they're like, oh, it's an American terror attack, and that starts the world war that lasts until the end of the game, or until
MW3, because that was the whole thing. MW3, the M flips around and it's WW3.
Yeah, it's World War III, and I was like, and parents didn't get that context. You see this on the news, you're like, that's terrible.
Mowing down a horde of civilians, and you're like, what the fuck?
And parents don't get this context, and
okay,
I really think they should.
I'm gonna stop right there and say that even with the context, they didn't need to do that. That is war porn. That is gore. That is not needed. We don't need that in a Call of Duty game. I understand how you're saying it is the pivotal moment. They could have done something else. It's not because it's a video game, they felt like things had to be different. And on the one hand, I see the argument of well, because it's a game, that shouldn't hold it back. They should be able to tell the story that they want, and if this was a movie, people wouldn't think twice about it. But on the other hand, I think they would, and I think even in a movie, there would be a lot of concerns about that. But the thing with an R-rated movie is that there's a lot less kids watching R-rated movies than there are playing M-rated games, and they call Infinity Ward knew that when they made that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, granted, they know that. But what are they supposed to do? I guess because it's the game is rated M. It's for mature audiences. It's intended for mature audiences. They're supposed
I know.
Oh well, now we have to fix it because people are breaking the rules.
No, I get that, and I know I'm not saying I'm not saying they should have been held back narratively because they know they have a large kid audience that's not really under their control. But I do think that having that in there is not needed. I do really think they could have done something else that was just as impactful. Just assassinate someone important and get framed for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, I think it was a different time, of course. And I definitely don't think that it probably wouldn't, with the uprising of shootings and stuff like that, I don't think it would have fit well in modern context at all. But I think if we look at it in a time bubble kind of like that, I really think it's just fascinating. I don't necessarily know if it's right or wrong or anything like that, but just I think the story surrounding it is very fascinating, and it really blew my mind. It really blew my mind when I was listening to it, because I never got that context, and now I got that context, and it wasn't an appreciation for it, it was an understanding. I went,
it's an understanding why they did it, and having that context is important to know that especially knowing that you can skip it. Mm-hmm. Right, it makes it so it's this is a narrative thing. They didn't just do this to do this, but even in a 2009 context, whenever the game came out, being a parent, I could see the argument for it. They didn't need to do this, and I'm not going to let my kid watch this.
Yeah.
We're certainly not the first set of 20-somethings that have debated the ethics of no Russian. So let's move on from that.
This is the social issue episode, it seems. I'm not talking about a lot of social issues. But I was gonna say one more thing, but I don't remember what I was gonna say. You know what? No, do your segue. If I remember it, I'll remember it. But do what you were gonna say next.
So I feel like that at the end of the 360 generation, like Call of Duty, Halo Reach, and all that kind of defined who we were at that point. But then we moved into a weird era, at least for me. I don't know how weird it was for you, where I was like, I went to a new school. I was in junior high. It was like 2011, 2012. I was getting ready for high school. Right. And I was like, I don't want to play baby games anymore. So I got rid of all my Kirby's, all my Marios, all my pretty much all my Nintendo games, and I was like, I'm gonna play adult games like Minecraft.
Oh, of course.
And Call of Duty and all that.
Yeah, Minecraft was around the time all the kids were getting their own computer.
And I was actually a 3DS hater. I had a 3DS because I actually broke my DS, so I ended up like selling it for parts and buying a 3DS for like a discount. Mm-hmm. And I did not like it. I really didn't, because I had a lot of the launch titles, and the one I have here is like Super Monkey Ball 3D is probably what I played the most on it. I 100%ed it, but I was like, I don't want to play baby game anymore. So I really didn't join the 3DS hype until I was in high school.
Oh, dude, I was on the 3DS hype immediately because they released launch title Ocarina of Time 3D.
I did play Ocarina of Time.
My ass was on that.
That was the first time I beat Ocarina of Time, was with Ocarina of Time 3D, and I feel like right after that, I was like, I'm good. No more Nintendo.
Oh, bad move.
Oh, I
best
know, looking back.
Nintendo games on the 3DS.
3DS does have the best library out of any Nintendo console. I could say that hands down. Well, Switch is giving it a run for its money, but...
Yeah. Switch is doing very good work.
But yeah, were you a Minecraft kid in like 2011?
Yeah, I played it when it was in alpha, because my, of course, older brother Perks, he played it. And I went, oh, Minecraft, and I was at my grandfather's house, and he installed it on his desktop, and I played it all weekend. And then my grandfather found out we installed software on his desktop, and he got mad at me.
Okay, that happened.
A lot of these stories end with that.
And I'm still bitter about it, because I played Minecraft on my stepdad's laptop, and to this day, he tells me that I installed viruses on his laptop, and all it was Minecraft. I didn't have any mods. I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. I didn't even go on Chrome on his laptop. The only thing I did was play Minecraft. He downloaded viruses and blamed Minecraft for it.
You put them there yourself. You're just pinning it on me.
Yep. That is I've always been upset about that. But yeah, Minecraft kind of transitioned me into that, like, YouTube era, like going into high school kind of kid who only plays Call of Duty and Minecraft. And looking back on it, kind of regret that. But I at the time, I had a lot of fun. So I can't say that I necessarily regret playing it.
Oh, I don't regret playing it at all. Me and my friend, who I met from Scout. Oh, no, I actually met from my Little League team. We were close friends by the time Minecraft came out. And we were, once again... another story of my YouTube exploits. We were going to be a Let's Play channel of Minecraft called the Ender Bros.
Yo.
Yeah, because we both had like our skins or Minecraft skins were like Endermen in like sweatshirts or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. But now by the time I think in 2012, that's when I became the gamer. That's when I really became like not an adult gamer, but like more of, that's when my full memory started to form, and the experiences that I was having in video games was becoming a collective, instead of thinking about when I was playing games when I was 8 and they're just like kind of a hazy memory, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too.
Yeah, and it was mainly because I played XCOM. I got XCOM, and I was like, holy shit, this game is awesome. That's like the first tactical strategy game I played. I loved it. I loved it so much.
See, that happened to me with Binding of Isaac, which I talked about on the roguelike episode, where you can go see my story about how that brought me out of my Call of Duty shell.
Yeah.
And because of Isaac, I was really into the idea of getting Isaac Rebirth on PS Vita when it came out. So I remember... This is completely dating this as like the end of my childhood gaming experience.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about XCOM, by the way. But I went to my high school orientation, and then later that day went to GameStop to buy a PlayStation Vita, and the only game the GameStop guy could recommend to me was Persona 4 Golden. And I played the shit out of that game. But I'll talk about that in a bit. Talk about XCOM real quick. What was that like going into the PC world? I'm sure you're already there, but this was like your big opening for it.
Oh man, honestly, I don't really have much to say about XCOM. I do love XCOM. I love XCOM 2. Probably one of my favorite strategic RPGs, tactical strategy games ever. But I don't really have anything to say about it except for at that point in time, I did not mind the low resolutions and the low frame rates. I just played it, and if the game slowed down, that's just how it was.
I don't know if you shared this experience. I don't really know what it was. I feel like around that time, like 2012, well, I guess more like 2013 is when I was going into high school. I feel like I didn't have a lot of free time. I don't know what I was doing. Like, I know I was in Boy Scouts. I couldn't have had a job. I was only 13. I guess there was just a lot of homework in 8th grade, right? Because I feel like most of my free time was spent playing Call of Duty, and in the few times that it wasn't, it was like banging out 6-7 hour sessions on Persona 4 Golden.
I was a heavy procrastinator, so I had a lot of free time.
Same.
Yeah.
Same, but I feel like I didn't play games. I don't know what I was doing, but
I played a lot of games.
Anyway, I feel like the Vita really brought me out of my Call of Duty shell and introduced me to a lot of new indies that I played on there, as well as Persona, which was the first JRPG I'd played in forever.
Yeah, that's what the PC kind of did for me as well, because I couldn't handle any like big games, so I just played like Binding of Isaac, XCOM, Half-Life. Well, that's big.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. I mean, like the PC indie, and then like for me, Vita indie era really began in high school, and I think that was kind of out of necessity because parents aren't buying you games all the time anymore. Holidays only come around once a year, and you want to get that one big game. So every time throughout the year, you have like whatever pocket change you have left over, whatever you can afford. That was the kind of stuff I was playing in like my freshman year of high school.
Yeah,
that was that's a vastly different experience from when I was a child.
Yeah, so. I was still cranking out the 3DS at that point. Oh,
yeah,
man.
I was still a hater. I didn't get on the 3DS hype train until Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out. I think my 3DS probably collected dust between the launch and Monster Hunter 4.
That was like my first year of high school, so I had the first 3DS, but I had Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, and then I got the 3DS version of it, and I transferred my save file and stuff, so I'd play it at school, which blows my mind that I could play Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, this console game, on my TV on the go. It was blurry as fuck, but it's all right. And then Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate came out. I was like, this is gaming! And I got the special edition Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate 3DS with the paint.
Ooh,
it's like the
that's
painted
sick. The
shell.
Silver, right?
The silver painted shell. And just like everybody else who was probably a teenager who played it at school, when it came out, the paint chipped. So...
Yeah. Well, then they kind of fixed that for the Generations one. It was glossy, so...
Yeah, they changed it, and I didn't get the Generations one, but my friend did. Good for you.
My friend did too, and I was always jealous. But I have the Smash Brothers one, so who won?
Well, now I just have the new 2DS XL.
Yeah, I'm still on the market for a new 2DS because I'm worried about my 3DS shitting the bed any day now.
Yeah, you should go for it. Honestly, it has just a slightly higher visual quality, and honestly, I might be making that shit up, but
I don't know. It doesn't have the stereoscopic like tech built in, so it might be possible that it's at least a little brighter.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so that was our childhood gaming experience. So now moving on, why we're so fucked up in our gaming taste.
Woo!
I feel like honestly, it was a lot more straightforward than I thought it would be. I thought I was going to be pulling out like a lot of weird license games that I played, but looking back on it, definitely shout out to my dad for like getting me good games because he knew what was what, and probably for you, like your older brother knowing what was what, helping you guide that way.
Yeah, I honestly, most of that was my older brother and then my own research, and I had to skirt the system once or twice to try to get some games that I probably shouldn't have gotten. The last thing I'll bring up before we can do this outro, so I was not allowed to play video games where I shot people, but I didn't understand what my mom meant. She's like, I don't want you shooting at humans. Right? And for some reason, I thought she meant I could not shoot at other people who are playing the game online.
Yeah.
So I was trying to tell her, no, I don't play the online. I go on like Team Deathmatch with bots. They're computers. Right? And I was just like, no, Mom, please, they're computers. They're computers. They're not people. They're computers. And somehow that worked. She got me Black Ops.
And then did she see you killing real people and was okay with it?
Man, I think I think she came downstairs. Oh no, because I think I got it on my birthday. I think it was either Black Ops or Black Ops 2, but there's a mission in Black Ops where like something horrible happens and this guy like burns to death. It might be the opening of Black Ops 2 where the guy burns to death inside like the flipped over car or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember like I was looking at that and I was like, oh fuck, oh fuck, I shouldn't be playing this.
Well, I think Black Ops 2 was the first one that had a gore filter or like some kind of mature content filter where it would filter out like the fire and the blood and stuff like that.
It did. You can cut off people's heads in that.
I forgot
and it
about
removed
that.
and their
Forgot
arms and
about
stuff. And guess who didn't have it on? Me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick, we're coming to the end of the show here. We'll take a quick little side tangent. We got a topic suggestion from Bezerk Jezerk on Instagram, who said, what's a game that got y'all invested or connected to the gaming community for the first time? And I think that's definitely related to our childhood experience because we discovered the internet. I don't know about you. I first got access to the internet when I was like 9 years old, which was a mistake. But I got my own laptop and iPod Touch around the same time in 2011. So pretty much 2011 is really when I was able to start going on the internet on my own. What about you?
Yeah, I remember that time. I mean, I was always allowed to like just muck about on the internet and stuff like that, but I was on, the family desktop, but I never looked up anything crazy anyway. I looked up like, videos of a heavily modded version of Halo 2 so that it looked like Ocarina of Time instead of Yeah. There was this mod for Halo 2 where it was Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, and instead of mongooses, it was Epona, and all like the sniper rifles were changed to like bow and arrows. And it was honestly, it was nuts. And
That's crazy.
I'm positive that I did not dream it up. I swear it's real. I need to look it up. But yeah.
I think I kind of already touched on it with Minecraft, but the game I'm going to shout out that really got me connected to the internet I had used the internet before. Obviously, I was like, watching Smosh, or I was watching like news videos, I guess, because I was a nerdy ass kid, or I was on Wikipedia. Yeah. The first time I got into like gaming YouTube and like game facts and like Reset Era type forums and even Reddit kind of, I don't think that was big around the time, but around that time later I got into it, was The Elder Scrolls. I talked about Oblivion earlier, and then Skyrim, because I just saw these hilarious YouTube fails videos, which are just like glitches and people doing stupid shit, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And eventually that like took over my YouTube algorithm, which I think that's around the same time they started doing an algorithm on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the algorithm.
And so I got videos of like, I started finding achievement hunter videos, and that led me to like watch a lot of Rooster Teeth, which, looking back on it probably is a bad idea, but in the time I was very excited about it. And then I discovered Gary's Mod videos. Are you kidding me? This game,
dude.
Do you know that Gary's Mod came out in 2006?
Yeah, I do.
That's nuts. So there was already a very large wealth of Gary's Mod videos out there that I just loved.
Shout-outs to Kitty0706. Rest in peace, man. You made the funniest videos I've seen.
Did he die?
Yeah, he died of cancer. He died of cancer a while ago.
That sucks.
Yeah, and he is a veteran. Probably like one of the top names, I think, in Gary's Mod videos. I still go back to his videos and I laugh and I reminisce and I remember so many of the lines. It's so funny. He was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Yeah, I've definitely seen a few of his videos, and you've shown me a few as well, but I don't know. I was more in like the CNanners Let's Play type Gary's Mod stuff than like the Gary's Mod skits, but I did get my fair share of those as well.
Yeah, I watched some of those YouTubers. I watched early PewDiePie, and then other than that, I don't know. I wasn't a huge YouTuber guy,
But even just like online forums or like looking up guides and stuff, what was like the first game that got you connected that way?
Oh man, first game that made me connected that way. I mean, I didn't really, honestly, none of that was significant to me. The only thing that like the thing that really made me be like online, besides like the early Call of Duties and Halo Reaches, which sometimes I fucked about on the microphone and people told me to shut up. Probably was Team Fortress 2. Just launching into a match and then just like messing about on 2 Fort and people talking and just, I was a free to play with no items, all the stock stuff, and just people on the microphone, be like a shitty quality microphone, just demo, come here,
Yeah. Were you on the mic though, or were you like chatting on the text, or were you pretty much just kind of keeping to yourself?
I was keeping it to myself. I wasn't engaging in that, but I
I don't
would
know.
listen to that.
I must have been way more extroverted when I was younger because I remember going into TF2 or like even Call of Duty lobbies, and when it wasn't just constant racial and homophobic slurs being thrown at you, every so often you'd find a lobby that was just kind of chill and you could just like talk while you're playing the game. And I thought that was really cool. I met people. I didn't make any like online friends, but I go into a lobby and it'd be like, I'm playing soldier. I'm like, hey guys, I'm kind of trying out this new weapon. Anyone have any tips? And people would respond in the chat or on voice and be like, yeah, this is how you use the market gardener or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's fun.
Oh yeah, I was not in the market to improve myself in any way. If I had a microphone on, my voice was too high, so they didn't like that.
Yeah.
I was a very high pitched little kid. I still am. I still
Little
have a little bit of
squeaker.
a high voice. Yeah, a little squeaker. It was
Sweet.
alright.
So that's how we got connected to the gaming community, and that was our
Yeah.
childhood experience. So I think that's going to wrap up the episode. Is there anything you wanted to add before we send off?
Yeah, the literal final thing I'll say.
Okay.
First game that made me go, wow, gaming. Gaming is more than just me finishing it and feeling nothing about it. First game that made me feel like somber and think about it. Lisa the Painful. I beat that game and I went, oh.
What was how
man.
old were you when you did that? Was that in high school or was that like when you were still a
That
kid?
I think Lisa the Painful came out in 2014, so I was likely 13 because I was born later in the year. And I don't really remember. Well, how old would I be? I think I think it was my first year of high school, and I played that, and it was just a very provocative game for a 13-year-old to play. A man about a drug addict with intense emotional trauma. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, I told my story about how I poo-pooed The Last of Us and like just never played it because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I think the first game that did that for me was actually around that same time, the summer going into my first year of high school. Persona 4, I talked about. Obviously, that's very emotional, but I never even finished it. It was Earthbound. I played Earthbound for the first time then, and very similar to Lisa in like style and vibe at least. And I got a lot out of that, like emotionally and being somber after the credits rolled and all that. And that was a similar experience there.
Yeah. I think it was because when you think of Earthbound, I mean, like, the themes of Earthbound are, love and believing and understanding, but the themes of Lisa were just so, like, I guess, so undoubtedly cynical
Oh yeah,
in
and
a
dark.
way that and dark in a way that I haven't seen before, and it's not like, oh, it's just a little background thing or subtext or whatever. No, that's like a main part of the game, so it was like completely unavoidable, and I've never seen that before, and it really like I it struck a chord with me. I was like, holy shit, this is it. I need to find more things like this, but
And then there weren't any.
yeah, and then
No,
they
no,
never
no,
made
no.
another game ever again.
Well,
no
shout
video game
out-
company.
Lisa Definitive Edition just came out, so you can go check that out now on Switch or whatever.
No, there's been no video games made after Lisa Painful. Every
No video
company went out
games.
of business.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
like,
no
this
video
is,
games.
This is it. We can't do better, so why even try?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that's going to wrap up our episode on our childhood gaming experience. Why don't you go ahead and leave a comment here as to what your favorite game was when you were a kid, let's say before high school time. What was like your big game? Next episode, in a couple weeks here, we're going to be doing Kickstarter indie games. So we're going to be talking about the games that got crowdfunded. Someone came out with an idea. They said, I need a little help getting this across the finish line. Get some crowdfunding support, and then success stories, failure stories, how you make a game like that, and what our experiences are with that. So remember, you can follow us everywhere at SoftlockPod on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube and podcast services. Again, we have a post out on Instagram right now asking for some topic discussion or topic suggestions and discussion questions. We'd love it if you wrote in for that so we could have some inspiration as to what you'd like to hear us talk about in the future. And until next time, we will see ya.